Hi, this is part 5 of my review featuring the Dark Lord role-playing game. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, please check out the playlist in the description below. In this part, we are going to talk about the 3 remaining Dark Lords included in the core rulebook, the Naga Empress, the Sahuagin High Priestess, and the Troll King. Well then, let's continue. First we have the Naga Empress. You are the Naga Empress, antediluvian progenitor of the Ophidian species, undisputed master of arcane magic, Dark Lord of the Jungle Domain. Your forces are composed of Ophidian minions, from the mighty pureblood sorcerers and champions, soaked in the power of their snake-like forms, to the persuasive and stealthy thin-bloods, who can pass as ordinary humanoids. Poison and mental domination are the touchstones of the Jungle Domain. Whether using magic to create clouds of poison to choke the battlefield, or poisoning rivers and other water supplies to weaken or even wipe out pesky population centers with minimal effort. This army is definitely not for beginners. It requires a certain finesse. You need to adapt to your levels of power as you obtain more resources and abilities, but you also need to consider the present situation. So for example, early on, you will want to focus more heavily on martial prowess, as the might of your half-blood infantry and pure-blood champions is evident out of the gate. But later on, as mana has made your poison more versatile and your casting more powerful, you can rely more on subversive approaches or simply on blanketing the battlefield in poison. In my opinion, I think a mixed tactics result is the better approach to most situations, so you need to attack the opponent from different angles, using subtlety, stealth, poison, and all-out attack as well. And this is also related to the weakness of your army. When it comes to your defense, to your armor, you are not very sturdy, so it's better to weaken your opponent through poison, through manipulation, and only then striking through with your stronger units. When it comes to your domain power, the snake people of this dark domain live in burrows and nests underground, which makes them naturally defensible. Whenever you build a mill in a territory, you automatically build free fortifications. This also applies to mills bought from the market or conjured with mana, but not to mills that come with a territory automatically upon conquest. The dragon that you can summon is the Green Dragon. Your languages are Common and Ophidian. When it comes to magic items, you have the Pattern of the Ranger. When it comes to the abilities that you can purchase with mana, you have things such as Contaminating Venom, Expertise, Serpentine Presence, Immunity to Poison, Adaptable Venom, and Arcane Prowess. Let's talk about a few of the abilities. When it comes to Adaptable Venom, creatures who benefit from the debilitating venom power may choose to inflict a different status effect instead of poisoned, with varying saves to resist, so you could perhaps blind your enemy, or charm them, or confuse them, or paralyze them. When it comes to Arcane Prowess, this domain is soaked with arcane power. Any creature with the Spellcaster ability receives twice as many spell points. When it comes to Poison Immunity, all creatures of the Dark Domain are immune to poison, of course, poison damage and any conditions imposed by that substance. When it comes to Serpentine Presence, all creatures of the Dark Domain may roll Persuasion for Intimidation and Intimidation for Persuasion. If they have the Spellcaster ability, they may use their Intelligence bonus instead of Charisma for either skill. Now let's talk about the units, starting with the Lieutenants. First you have the Naga. The Naga crafted the Ophidian race as their servitors long ago, and many still rule them today. Their magical powers of both mental domination and long-range poison are legendary. You have high charisma, really good intelligence, and decent strength. You don't have too many hit points, you can only wield basic weapons, you cannot wear armor, and you have skills such as Deception, Insight, Religion, and Intimidation, just to name a few. Because you are a Naga, you do not have limbs, you cannot wield weapons, you cannot wear armor. However, your magical potence gives you advantage on all magic attacks, and you get a bonus to all of your magic-related saving throws. Your massive snake body makes you large size, and gives you 4 points of flexible natural damage reduction, and 40 feet of movement speed. You have a venomous bite attack. You can use your massive coils to grapple your victim. You can deal 2d6 of bludgeoning damage to a creature you have grappled. You can constrict them, choking the life out of them. And these are just some of the traits you obtain as a Naga. When it comes to your other abilities, you have Cause Fear. As a standard action, you may cause fear in a number of creatures within a certain distance of you. You also have things such as Charm. As a bonus action, you may gaze into the eyes of any creature you can see and which can see you within 30 feet. The target creature must make a willpower saving throw. If they fail, they consider you a friend. You also have Poison Spray. You spit a spray of poison at a creature within a certain distance, splattering all over the target square. The target creature must make a fortitude save or they take poison damage. If they succeed, there is no effect. You also have Poison Cloud. You can spit a glove of poison up to a certain distance, which explodes into a cloud of poison gas, which affects all of the creature trapped within. They take a lot of damage from that, and this is ongoing poison damage. Therefore, it is a very powerful ability and you can only use it once per season. You also have Dominate. As a standard action, you can totally overwhelm the will of another creature, requiring them to do exactly as you command. Next, we have the Ophidian Warlord. The strongest of all the Ophidian warriors, the Warlord leads the jungle domain from the front. You have great strength, good constitution, and decent intelligence. You have a lot of hit points. You can wield any weapon, use heavy armor. When it comes to your skills, you have Animal Handling, Athletics, Insight, History, just to name a few. Because you are an Ophidian pureblood, you share some traits or perks with the Naga. Your massive snake body makes you of large size, gives you damage reduction, increased movement speed. You also have a venomous bite attack, and similar related effects. When it comes to your abilities, you have things such as Fighting Styles, Improved Critical, Relentless Attack, Fell Blows. Let's talk about some of these. Fighting Styles is similar to the other Dark Lords. You can be an Armor Master, a Master of Great Weapon Fighting, a Shield Master, a Pole Arm Master. You also have Improved Critical. Your crit range is expanded by 1. You also have Indomitable. You gain 3 legendary saves. When you fail a saving throw, you may instead choose to succeed. Your legendary saves refresh at the start of a new season. You also have Relentless Attack. You may make another additional attack when taking an attack action. You also have Fell Blows. The titanic blows of your deadly weapons completely ignore all damage reduction. So as you can see, the Naga is a less flexible character, but deals more damage when it comes to venomous effects, sorcery. It is the spellcaster, but you are also quite decent at up-close fighting. And the Ophidian Warlord discards all spellcasting superiority to focus completely on physical combat expertise. The Naga is great at inflicting poison damage, indirect attack damage, but you are fragile, somewhat fragile. Now the Ophidian Warlord, you are sturdier, but you have less options when it comes to dealing damage. Now let's talk about the rest of the forces, starting with the elites. We have the Half-Blood Assassin, stealthy and perceptive. Half-Blood Assassins are capable of dealing out incredible damage to a single enemy at range, eliminating deadly threats to the jungle domain. You also have the Pure-Blood Sorcerer, Masters of Poison Magic. The Pure-Blood Sorcerers are the jungle domain's crowd control and battlefield management experts. We also have the Pure-Blood Champion. Putting their sheer bulk to use, Pure-Blood Champions are amongst the mightiest of the Ophidians, heavily armored and capable of cleaving through hordes of lesser foes with little difficulty. You also have the Thin-Blood Beguiler. The most accomplished Thin-Bloods of the jungle domain are the Beguilers. Their snake eyes and silver tongues making them masters of both deception and diplomacy. Let's talk about some of the troops. We have the Thin-Blood Archer. Not every Thin-Blood is any good at infiltration. The ones whose eyes are better at picking out targets than subtle non-verbal ticks end up in the Ophidian Archery Corps, forming the backbone of the Naga Empress's ranged firepower. You also have the Half-Blood Infantry. The resilience of the Ophidian Half-Bloods is most often put to use as frontline infantry for the jungle domain. Let's talk about the Fodder. We have the Thin-Blood Fodder. Thin Bloods serve a vital and respected role in Ophidian society, as they are the only ones suited to serving as infiltrators into the non-reptilian people's homelands, and as such they are lauded for their cunning, their perception, and their loyalty, even after months or years away from their serpentine fellows. In general, I mean. You specifically don't have any of that. So this army is a specialist at attacking the enemy from different angles, different approaches. I think this army is more difficult to use when compared to the other dark forces, because you need to be very flexible and adapt yourself to every situation. You do not have an obvious strength to rely upon or use as a sort of backup when things don't go exactly your way, like for example the incredible sturdiness of the Ice Queen's army or the lightning fast attacks of the Fallen Seraphim's forces. So you need to use all of your strengths almost at the same time, employing diplomacy, spellcasting, stealth, and more overt assaults at the same time, or perhaps keeping a nice pace, alternating things as you need them to overcome your enemies. Next, we have the Sahuagin High Priestess. You are the Sahuagin High Priestess, keeper of the antediluvian magics of the first gods, ruler of all that swims below the waves, Dark Lord of the ocean domain. Your forces consist of Sahuagin priestesses, mighty Mero warriors, and unfathomably resilient Shoggoths. Your greatest strength is tied to your more obvious weakness. As long as you are fighting within water or nearby water, then you have the advantage. You are the most powerful army of the Dark Lords. However, not all of the planet is submerged in water, of course. Most of the battles that you will face will be in dry land. So it's all about maneuvering your forces so that the enemy feels forced to fight near a lake, a river, the sea, perhaps even the sewers. All fortresses need water in some way, and that's where you come in. You can also use your eldritch magics to perhaps flood an entire area, so that the opponent needs to fight in your area of expertise, in your favored terrain. Now, let's talk about some of the features of this army. When it comes to your domain power, living in the waterways and lakes of conquered territory means that your troops are very hard to drive out, and this becomes more noticeable as more of the territory is terraformed into ocean. Whenever your armies must roll to survive battle in your own territory, you may reroll 1 die per season, plus 1 more die for each level of terraforming you've completed. When it comes to the dragon that you can summon, you can call upon the Leviathan. Your languages are Aquan and Common. Your magic items have the pattern of water. Some of the abilities that you can purchase with mana include Expertise, Repellent Beauty, Toughness, Cult of the Antediluvian, Arcane Prowess, Primordial Horror. Let's talk about a few of these abilities. When it comes to Cult of the Antediluvian, you can make a persuasion check opposed by a creature's will save, and if you succeed, you can convince them of your awesome and antediluvian nature. Seeing the insignificance of their own civilization compared to yours, which was there before them and will be there after, they become obsessed with you. Most people will respond by wanting to join you, but some others will want to destroy you instead. Either way, you have surely caught their attention. When it comes to Primordial Horror, your domain has been here long before the current age of elves and humans, and will be here long after they are gone. The primordial horror of the insignificance of current civilizations, represented by your domain, threatens to drive those who see you mad. So this is very Lovecraftian, very in tune with, for example, the Deep Ones and Dagon and Hydra and such. Next we have Repellent Beauty. The Dark Lord and all their minions can use intimidation instead of persuasion as long as they have the targets outnumbered. This is because, alone with the monsters, the mortals can admit to their strange kinship with the squamous creatures. Perhaps some humans in the enemy forces have the Innsmouth look to them. Now let's talk about the units, starting with the lieutenants. First we have the Sahuagin Baron, the upper crust of Sahuagin aristocracy. The Baron is the greatest warrior of all the ocean domain, master of the four-armed martial arts. When it comes to your attributes, you have great strength, good intelligence, and decent charisma. You have lots of hit points. You specialize in the use of basic, defensive, heavy, and polearm weapons. You can wear light armor, and some of the skills that you can employ are athletics, persuasion, arcana, stealth, religion, just to name a few. When it comes to your abilities, you have things such as dual wielder, Sahuagin, swift attack, combat reflexes, elusive target, fell blows. Let's talk about some of these abilities. When it comes to Sahuagin, your scaly Sahuagin hide gives you damage resistance. You can breathe underwater, and you have a swim speed equal to your land speed. Your Shark Frenzy for Blood gives you advantage when making a melee attack against non-construct, non-undead creatures who have already lost at least one hit point. You have Dark Vision as well. When it comes to two-weapon fighting, when attacking with a weapon in your offhand, you may add your ability bonus to the damage. And because you have Evasion, whenever you make a reflex save for half damage and succeed, you take no damage. When it comes to Elusive Target, when you retreat from an attack, you can retreat in any direction. You still can't retreat through or into squares occupied by enemies. You never provoke attacks of opportunity for your movement, whether retreating or not. You also have Unmatched Attack. You may make a third additional attack when taking an attack action, for a total of 4. Next we have the Sahuagin High Priestess, the head of the Sahuagin religion that worships their ancient gods, the ones who lived deep beneath the ocean and spawned all life, even the life of the ungrateful surface dwellers. The Sahuagin High Priestess is master of the eclectic magics of the Sahuagin casters. You have good intelligence, high wisdom, and decent constitution. You have decent hit points. You can only wield basic weapons, you cannot wear armor, and you have skills such as medicine, investigation, deception, and religion. When it comes to your abilities, you have things such as Sahuagin, as explained earlier. You also have Spellcaster, Frenzy, Ray of Frost, Blood Transfer, Ray of Frostier, Mass Mesmer, and Power Word, Kill, just to name a few. Let's take a look at some of these abilities. When it comes to Frenzy, you can inspire a Blood Frenzy in a creature within 30 feet. For rounds equal to your proficiency bonus, the target has advantage on all attack rolls and deals bonus damage equal to your proficiency bonus. You also have Ray of Frost. You can shoot a beam of frigid energy at a creature within a certain distance. There's also Blood Transfer. As a standard action, you can transfer life from a creature you have grappled, willingly or otherwise. If you are transferring blood from them to you, you make a bite attack and deal damage modified by your strength, and you even deal additional necrotic damage. However, if you are transferring life from you to another creature that perhaps needs healing, an ally, one of your troops, then you need to slit your wrist and allow them to drink from it, and you are the one taking damage. You also have Mass Mesmer. When you use your Cause Fear, Charm, Confusion, or Hold Person abilities, you may target a number of creatures up to your proficiency bonus within a certain distance. When it comes to Power Word Kill, as an action, you may target any creature with a lower proficiency bonus than yours with the Power Word Kill. The target creature needs to make a Fortitude save or they are killed instantly. A very powerful special ability, and because of that, you can only use this ability once per season. You can also confuse your enemies. Maybe the creature uses all of its movement and a dash action to sprint in a random direction, ignoring obstacles and hazards. Maybe the creature givers in confusion, doing nothing. Or perhaps the creature makes an attack on a random adjacent creature. So this is great to use it on an enemy that is surrounded by allies. As you can see, the Dark Lords for this army are a bit on the fragile side. They have some very interesting magical abilities and melee focused abilities too, but you definitely want to stay behind your troops to increase the odds of survival. Let's talk about some of the other forces, starting with the elites. We have the Merrow, sometimes called the Ogres of the Ocean. Merrows are large, powerful warriors, often employed by the Sahuagin to help maintain their hefty front line. Even on the surface, though they are slowed by the need to drag themselves about on their hands, they are perfectly effective fighters once they have pulled themselves into position, and in water they are agile and precise combatants. Next we have the Sahuagin Priestess. Those fully inducted into the priestly caste of the Sahuagin are capable of deadly rays of frost, healing, inspiring the shark's frenzy, and debilitating curses of fear and madness. And of course we have the Shoggoth, the ocean domain's tank. Shoggoths are capable of regrowing lost appendages with ease, and indeed constantly reabsorb and regenerate body parts even outside of combat. Capable of attacking any number of creatures within its reach, with its variable number of tentacles, the Shoggoth is at its most deadly in the thick of melee. Let's talk about the troops. First we have the Mutant Priest. Knowledgeable of many of the secrets of the abyssal gods of the Sahuagin, the Mutant Priests are the leaders of the flock on the surface, capable of calling down terrible curses on the enemies of the ocean domain. Then we have the Sahuagin Acolyte. The Sahuagin Acolytes have been inducted into the first secrets of the primordial submarine gods of the ocean domain, and can use that knowledge for healing, attack, and to inspire a blood frenzy in their allies. Let's talk about the Fodder. We have the Mutant Fodder. The Sahuagin live in the water, in lakes, and streams and the great ocean. This makes taking and holding territory from the hated surface dwellers difficult, and for that they turn to you. You might not be much in a fight, but you breathe air as easily as water, which means they need a bunch of you for guard duty on the surface, and guards require towns and farms to support them, which means the ocean domain has a bunch of you lying around, and they may as well bring the spares along as spike fodder. So as you can see, this army is highly specialized. Just like the forces of the Naga Empress, I consider this an advanced army, definitely not for beginners. As long as you stick to your area of expertise and your favorite terrain, which is underwater or nearby water, then you're going to do fine, perhaps even better than other armies. But if the enemy pushes you away from your watery terrain, then winning the battle is going to be considerably more challenging. Next we have the Troll King. You are the Troll King, Warlord of the Greenskin Hordes, Master of Melee, Dark Lord of the Mountain Domain. Between your large size, heavy weapons, and troll regeneration, your personal combat prowess is unmatched amongst Dark Lords. Your specialty is in sheer power, bigger attacks, more damage dice, more health, greater speed, a wider area of effect. The Mountains Domain are a meat and potatoes domain, straightforward and effective. Your forces include combatants such as Fire Giant Berserkers, Goblin Champions, Orc Captains, Goblin Shamans. However, your army also has its weaknesses, of course. Effects such as fire can shut down the regeneration of your forces, and you are not specialized in long-ranged combat. You need to fight up close and personal, and this is going to be a bit difficult because your forces do not have specialized flying units. You are also vulnerable when fighting out in the open because your hordes could be easily taken down by specialized area of effect spells and abilities. Let's talk about some of the features of this army. When it comes to the domain power, whenever the Troll King's gold or ruby mines are empty, they generate 3 gold or rubies for the season instead of just 2. You can call upon the Red Dragon. Your languages are Common, Giant, Goblin, and Orcish. When it comes to your magic items, you have the Pattern of the Forge. The abilities that you can purchase using mana are Toughness, Celerity, Toughness and more Toughness, Forge Master, and Potence, just to name a few. Let's take a look at some of these abilities. When it comes to Forge Master, all weapons created in the Dark Domain have a bonus to attack and damage. All armor created in the Dark Domain has a bonus to damage resistance. All shields created in the Dark Domain have a bonus to parry. These bonuses are untyped and stack with the enhancement bonuses from magic weapons and shields. When it comes to Potence, all creatures in the Dark Domain deal an extra die of weapon damage with each attack, and with Toughness, you're going to accumulate a lot of hit points as you level up. Let's talk about the units of this army, starting with the lieutenants, of course. First we have the Troll Flame Lord. The Troll King's trusted advisor and bringer of fiery doom, the Flame Lord can devastate entire armies with his magical artillery. When it comes to your attributes, you have great intelligence, good constitution, decent strength, and decent wisdom. You don't have too many hit points. You can wield basic and heavy weapons. You cannot wield armor. When it comes to skills, you have things such as Arcana, Intimidation, Investigation, Medicine. When it comes to the abilities of this Dark Lord, you have Troll, Spellcaster, Burning Hands, Lightning Bolt, Firebolt, Meteor Swarm, just to name a few. Because you are a troll, you can regenerate hit points at the start of your turn, and you can even reattach severed limbs by holding the detached limb to the stump as a full round action. You cannot regenerate fire or acid damage, however. Some of the other abilities include Burning Hands. As a standard action, you spit a gout of flame in a cone from your hands. You also have Flame Burst. As a standard action, you shoot out fire from your position. You also have Flame Shield. As a standard action, you surround yourself with a shield of fire. You become resistant to fire damage, and any adjacent creature who strikes you with a melee attack takes fire damage. You also have Meteor Swarm. As a standard action, you summon 4 massive meteors from the sky. You can use these meteors to attack your enemies, of course, dealing massive fire damage. This ability is so powerful that you can only use it once per season. Then we have the Troll King, of course. An unmatched master of melee combat, the Troll King's individual attacks hit by a truck and come at a pace for which relentless is too small a word. Aided by his trollish regeneration, he is one of the few creatures in the world capable of reliably pursuing a table saw strategy, reach the back line by slaughtering everything in the front line on the way. He has great strength, good constitution, and decent wisdom and charisma. The Troll King has lots of hit points. He can wield basic weapons and heavy weapons, he can wear medium armor, and his skills include Animal Handling, Athletics, Investigation, Intimidation. When it comes to the Troll King's abilities, you have things such as Cleave, Great Weapon Fighting, Armor Master, Greater Regeneration, Superior Critical, and Unmatched Attack. Let's talk about some of the Troll King's abilities. You also have the Troll ability, of course, as explained earlier, with regeneration, the ability to reattach your limbs, and so forth. Then we have Swift Attack. You may make one additional attack when making an attack action. Now, we have Armor Master, and it says, when wearing heavy armor you have bonus damage resistance equal to your proficiency bonus, but I think this is a mistake, because the Troll King cannot wear heavy armor, you can only wear medium, so this must apply to medium armor only. You also have Greater Regeneration, which doubles your natural troll regeneration. And there's also Superior Critical. Your critical range is expanded by 2. And these are just some of the Troll King's abilities. Now let's talk about the forces of the Troll King, starting with the elites. We have the Fire Giant Berserker, massive and dangerous just to be near, let alone when he's actually taking swings at your head. The Fire Giant Berserker is the tip of the spear for the Troll King's attacks. We also have the Goblin Champion, the warg riding cream of the Goblin crop. Goblin champions are highly mobile and extremely deadly on the battlefield, particularly skilled in killing things much larger than they are. We also have the Orc Captain, the leaders of the Orc hordes of the Troll King. The Orc Captain inspires his troops to bloodlust and glory. We also have the Orc Priest. You might expect the priests of a war god to focus on making war, but it turns out having a job description that involves getting your limbs hacked off makes orcs pretty well disposed towards the team medic. The orc priests are given the unenviable task of keeping the bloodthirsty and reckless hordes of the Troll King in fighting condition long enough to actually win a war. Now let's talk about the troops. We have the Goblin Shaman. With more health than armor, the Troll King's minions need a steady source of healing. The Goblin Shaman keeps the orcs on their feet for just a few more seconds, so they can spit out just a bit more damage before they die. We also have the Orc Warrior, the backbone of the Green Tide that is the Troll King's horde. Orc Warriors are as deadly as they are expendable. Then there is the Orc Archer. Most red-blooded orcs prefer to charge into battle, but the Orc Archer prefers to win his kills from afar. Though generally respected less than proper warriors, the Troll King knows the value of having ranged attackers in his horde. Now let's talk about the fodder. We have the Goblin Fodder. Some goblins rise above their lack of physical might to become cunning and deadly champions. this is not one of those goblins. This guy is a lackey press-ganged into service underneath the Troll King, because hey, he might not be the most useful minion, but he's more useful here on the front lines than plotting mischief back home. And this concludes all of the armies contained in this core rulebook. In the next part of this review, I am going to talk about more mechanical aspects, like for example how to handle your domains, how to carry out battle, but in this part we really got to examine some very interesting forces. In the case of the Naga Empress force, you will need to play as a jack of all trades, master of none. You need to attack with a combination of stealth, cunning, manipulation, melee combat, spellcasting, otherwise you will surely fail. When it comes to the Sahuagin High Priestess, this force also requires a bit of finesse. You need to maneuver your opponent into a body of water. You need to fight near lakes, rivers, the sea, sewers, and if possible, lure your enemy into the water, perhaps by capturing something or someone. And in the case of the Troll King's army, just like the Ice Queen's forces, I think this is a beginner-friendly army because you have no obvious weaknesses. If the enemy attacks you with acid, fire, and specialized area of effect attacks, you will surely be in trouble. But as long as you stick to your meat and potatoes style of warfare, this can be avoided. So overall, very interesting dark forces. Please check out the next part of this review. I will try to bring it out as soon as possible. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.